You're the same age as me. Do you remember when Tannadice had those two massive retaining walls in the two corners opposite the cameras, no facing the cameras? They were the side of the part that was opposite the Jerry Kerr stand. I know that one of the stands that the Rangers fans were in today's. My football memories start kind of late 70s, and I remember, I think I got to Tannadice for the first time in about 1984, 83 or 84. I was kind of 13, 14 years old, but it seems like a long time, building up a kind of appetite for it, watching it, getting obsessed with sports scene. When I was growing up, Dundee United were on the up. They were very much on the up under Jim McLean, and it's now the George Fox stand, that two-tier stand that runs all down one side of Tannadice. We're in the Jerry Kerr stand. Was it the Fair Play enclosure or something? I've been in that since it became a wee stand as well. This sums up Tannadice, that kind of higgledy-piggledy, add-on, piecemeal kind of stadium. You can see the joins. You can see the joins of Dundee United's history, where they've come from being Dundee Hibs or whatever like that, getting kicked into Cleppington Park as it was then. The team that was in there before them kind of just basically hating these incomers, these Irish, these Catholics that were coming into this stadium. So they actually trashed the dressing rooms and all that. This club that was in there before Dundee United that were going out of business. So they trashed the place. So Dundee United, or Dundee Hibs as they were at that point in time, would have a terrible time when they moved in, but they have built it up. And then Jerry Kerr, as I said, he was kind of maybe the William Milton to Jim McLean's Bill Struth when it came to the history of Dundee United, but he gets the stand named after him. And it's a kind of L-shaped stand. And one of the things I remember when I first went to Tannadice, two kind of, no disappointments, but interesting things of when I first actually went to Tannadice, having seen it, obsessed with it on television, was that the massive terrace that is now the George Fox stand opposite the cameras, the roof that was paid for by the transfer of Ray Stewart to West Ham. I can only remember Tannadice with that roof on it. What an atmosphere that created. I think it was about 14,000 folk the other day. It used to be 28,000. A big game at Tannadice was 28,000. You could get in there in the same footprint, the same dimensions of what you have there today. And I remember being thinking, oh, that's why this terrace is so big, because of the precipitous rake, the precipitous riser of the actual terrace and steps. The guy standing behind you, his feet were at your head, and your feet were at the head, behind the head of the person in front of you. And it's because they're trying to fit in so much into this tight little area. They will catch Dundee. They will equal Dundee's record of having once been champions of Scotland. They will get to a European Cup semi-final, the same as Dundee. Dundee won 2 straight League Cups, 3 eventually. Dundee United won 2 straight League Cups. And they've still only won 2, but they've won 2 Scottish Cups now, and Dundee have only got the 1. And Dundee got to the semi-finals of the Fairs Cup in '68, and within 20 years it had become the UEFA Cup. Dundee United got to the final. So 4 European semi-finals on that wee street, that wee area. It's amazing, Dundee. I used to love going there. 2012 kind of ruined everything, but it was quite amazing. And I remember getting in and thinking, well, that's why that's big, but also noticing that there was these massive kind of the corner. If you imagine the Govan stand, basically the Sandy Jardins, on each side of that we've got the jumbotron screens and the wee bits of seats, and one of them becomes the away corner. It's that kind of corner, that area, that effect. But they've only got them on that side of Ibrox. Well, I didn't know that because I'd only seen one. I'd only seen 3 sides of Tannadice from watching it on the telly only as a kid. So they don't have them on the other side of the park. So you're watching Rangers today shooting towards the shed end, which used to be the Dundee United home end. It's still the same. It's just a pit of seats on top of the terracing. It used to be just terracing, but now it's still much the same. You can see the remnants of the terracing over to the side there towards the faraway corner, and those corner flags, the faraway corner flags at each end of the stadium. It used to be you'd be watching games in the terrace highlights, and the outside broadcast director would go right close up to the guy taking the corner. And when you went close up and whoever was taking the corner, suddenly he was the only person in the stadium, because of this massive kind of 10 to 12 foot high at its apex corner retaining wall, and it was painted. It was whitewashed, and it was TSB. It was brilliant. Just an advertiser's dream, a stadium advertiser's dream. Stood out an absolute mile. So it was TSB when I was a kid. That's the one I always remember. That's the advert I always remember, being on those corner retaining walls at both ends, the faraway corners. And it was basically to hold up, because the terrace was so steep. Dundee United were getting so many people into such a tight space in their bid to catch up with Dundee and overtake Dundee FC, that they they needed these retaining walls to stop the terrace and everybody just crumbling and ending up on the actual park. So it created a bit of drama. It really caught your eye. And I noticed today, as I've noticed down the years, watching again on the telly at Tannadice, that it's basically, they've obviously had to kind of dynamite it away. It's like these German anti-aircraft emplacement kind of things that they have in Germany, where people, like shelters for the actual anti-aircraft crews and what have you, that were built so unbelievably deep into the ground, such thick concrete, that they still haven't been able to get rid of them. They can't get rid of them, in Berlin and what have you. And it's the same thing with these retaining corner walls. Like Dundee United will not crumble. They might have been relegated since the 80s now, but they're not going to crumble completely. They're still going to be one of the top teams in Scotland, one of the top clubs. They've had to obviously dynamite it at one side to fit in there, when they're building the George Fox stand, and they've dynamited it quite, maybe half of it away towards what is now the home end. And it's now Quinn Casino as the advertising. They're still using it for advertising. They still stick out. And at one end it's Quinn Casino, that they've got on it. Up the other end, Quinn Casino as well. But towards the end, the Rangers fans are there behind the goal there in the old shed end. It's kind of like one half of the old remaining corner retaining wall, Quinn Casino, and then the other bit, it's like a mangled limb. It's been basically, somebody's been blown up or something like that, and it's pointing in towards the supporters in the George Fox stand, but it still says Quinn Casino along that as well. A kind of not as spectacular, not as impressive version of the old TSB days when it was all terracing in Tannadice. Do you see that? Do you notice that? That's good. Right, wee Paree. If I say to you the phrase wee Paree, what do you see? What are you hearing? How would you write that down if I said to you wee Paree? You're maybe writing down wee, O-U-I, the French for yes, comma, Paris, the capital of France, because the French and the English both spell it the same. I'm not English speakers, you know what I mean? You're maybe writing down wee, Scottish idiom for small, W-E-E, and then Paris, the capital of France, the same thing. You're certainly, what you're not doing is you're not writing down W-E-E, P-A-R, W-E-E, new word, P-A-R-E-E. Unless, of course, you happen to work in, or own, or live near, or pass by, or dine in, or drink in the place that the actual eatery or bistro, whatever it is called, wee Paree, that I'm talking about, that's on the corner of Crow Road and Clarence Drive. Is it Hindland, Jordan Hill? I don't really know the areas in Glasgow. I've been here just over half my life now, and I still don't really know the areas. I know if you carry on down Crow Road from that point, 2 minutes you're in Partick and Dumbarton Road, but you have to pass the West End Retail Park. West End, I'm kind of sensitive to this because of a sign like wee Paree, and I'm sitting parked in Broomhill Drive yesterday, just looking at it as the lights, waiting for the lights to change. You just got to look at it, no square on. It's other stuff square on that I'll talk to you about, but wee Paree, I'm thinking, don't spell it out. Don't have the confidence. You don't have to have gone to university or come from Bearsden and Mulguy, and having money and being posh isn't the same as being clever. Just it makes it easier, but don't confuse the two. But don't patronise folk. Let folk go. We spell O-U-I and then Paris, then P-A-R-I-S, and folk will go, well, they'll put the French for yes, so it's we. I'll pronounce Paris the way the French pronounce it. Wee Paree. Oh, that's quite good. I like that. That's neat. But spelling it out like that just reeks of that kind of Kirsty Wark, talking to Billy Connolly, doing an interview, but big, and you're absolutely hilarious. Well, he's actually telling us something tragic for his childhood or something like that. Just commodifying all girl private school, soulless, and they beat the heart out you in these institutions to make you all about making money and ambition and what have you. And so she doesn't hear the humanity or the deprivation, as Connolly calls it in that skit he does about the priest coming to visit them in the house. Why do you have to actually spell it out? I don't get it. It really annoys me, and I'm sensitive to it for the same reason that I'm sensitive to. Yesterday I went to the bridge, didn't I? I went to Govan via the new footbridge. I went there and I saw the stuff on my Twitter last week about how it's poverty porn, poverty tourism. I saw a lot of stuff that was going on, and Christ, it did look like that, and you realise, I'm comfy at Drossen. It's the same as Govan, it's the same as York or whatever. And yesterday, I got up, I did the podcast with Craig on Friday night, the Jersey Night preview pod on Friday night, and then I did my own, this channel, we preview the Dundee United game, and as you'll know, I got it off my chest. I certainly got it off my chest, and I woke up feeling kind of like pleasantly hungover. No alcohol involved whatsoever for a change for me on a Friday night, but it was that feeling of like you had a really hard week at work. And then you went out and had a right good bevy to get out your system. Good bevy and a good chat. No, like you start hitting the Jaeger bombs and the stupid drinks at the end. But it just be on solid pints all night, and then maybe even had a wee whiskey at the end, a couple of malts even. Just you woke up next day and you're feeling a bit rough, but just rough enough to really enjoy it, And it had been like a fortnight, a bad fortnight at work, including the thing that set it off, that trip to Parkhead, and it just to get it off my chest, get it out of the system, talk about a lot of the stuff that needed talking about. It was really good. I woke up feeling almost hungover spiritually anyway on Saturday. Head downstairs, got to get myself a bit of breakfast, get into the kitchen. I've got the phone with me, and I feel like the boiling of the kettle, that kind of the rise to the boil, the water in the kettle, that kind of the bubbling, hitting a kind of bubbling crescendo. It kind of merged in with the building, whispering, kind of gas leak of the intro to Roxy Music's Ladytron, which I was playing on my phone. It was a Roxy Music. It's a Roxy Music kind of morning yesterday. And Roxy Music, quite middle class, quite pretentious. Depends where you come from. The Brian Ferry art school, Brian Ferry, pro hunt nowadays. Whatever. But the first single I ever got when I was a boy, staying in a drust, and I was 10 years old, I asked my mum to get me it. Was it Woolies or was it John Menzies and Sockets that she went? She got, got the 7-inch single, the vinyl single. Obviously I did that thing the same as everybody else. I had, was it Captain Pugwash or something like that? That was the previous week. No, that was when you're like preschool. There was a novelty single. A lot of folk, it was the Wombles or something like that. But me, was it Captain Pugwash or something? Had a song out. There was somebody, I can't remember quite who it is, but I had a kids single. No, that's my record, in amongst all my mum and dad's vinyl. But this was the first one I'm kind of starting to get a taste. And you might laugh at that, especially when even by Roxy Music standards, that's when them hitting well post Eno. They were just going kind of lazy disco sentimental stuff, but it was dance away the heartache. And I was a kid. I was like 10 years old, 1979. I was like, going to get us that single, Mum. I really like that. That was the first when I started actually building up a wee collection of music of my own, and I really like it. But I get into a lot of other Roxy Music stuff over the years since then, and sometimes you wake up, I just want to hear a bit of Roxy Music, but I'm thinking, is that me betraying my roots? Well, from my roots, that was, everybody wanted things to be better, didn't they? Why shouldn't? Just because I come from a Drawson, and mum and dad, both, mum was, a school cleaner and what have you, dad worked for the GPO and things like that. Why don't like to drink and all that on a Saturday night, Friday night? Why should I know like Roxy Music? It's aspirational, I don't know, I just like the sound of it, and that's what I did. And I think you get sensitive to these things when, and I'm saying to my wife, I'm not going to Fitba. Rangers tomorrow, need a break. I'm not going to any juniors games or anything like that day. She had a hard week at work. Let's just do something. Well, why don't we go for a cup? Why don't we go to that new bridge? The bridge is open. Go and see the bridge. And the two of us are like, oh, we're going to be kind of West End wanks or whatever. We don't even stay in the West End, but West End adjacent. And I only say these things to front up. I'm like checking my privilege. I'm not trying to be. Folk have said to me, well, actually, don't stay in the West. I don't fucking want to. It's just I'm just trying to say to folk, I'm going to talk about how you should follow Tommy Robertson and stuff like that. I need to let folk know that I'm saying it for a position where I understand life's hard and what have you, but also, I can't be condescending. I don't want to be one of the folk that ends up making situations worse in this binary world that we have, where people just hear somebody and they're woke, they're trying to tell me they're just too posh to understand my life, and I'll hate who I want to hate. No, I'm known anyway, posh, but I certainly get that things are a bit easier. But what made it worse was on the way down there, by the time I got myself ready and all that, it was like, you want to go for a coffee? And she's like, let's go. Let's grab a drive-through. We'll get a drive-through. There's a Starbucks down to Partick down towards the shorefront. I call it shorefront because I'm from Ardrossan. That's where I grew up. It's at the waterfront down by the Clyde. I used to go and park the motor there during lockdown, and you go walk along the nice flats down there. But there was rats. Dotting about. So it wasn't too posh. But you get a bit of water, you get a bit of fresh air, a bit of space and all that, and then you could get back up the road and everything. So nice memories of that. I mean, sometimes sitting with a coffee, but I couldn't do that because it was coffees we made in the house during lockdown. I couldn't do that because there's now been kind of blocked off. There's a gate thing there, the bit you used to park the motors. It's residents only, don't want to piss anybody off. And it's because I think they're sending everybody down to the Transport Museum to get them to go over this bridge and to pay for the parking down there. So we get down there and but we drove through the Starbucks, drive-through Starbucks, and we're having a laugh and all that, and by the time we get to the next thing, we just drove straight up to the actual bit where you order, and I'm like, double cheeseburger, kind of Big Mac meal, but I will go large. No, that was my instinct, but obviously I was like, drive-through coffee, okay, that's a thing. And I can't remember Starbucks, what's the other one, Paree, and what's the other one, the really famous one, I can't remember. But they've got different phraseology for the different size of cups. It's a grande or a mezzo grande or I couldn't remember what. So I'm like, I want a large one, but I don't really know what. Sometimes if you ask what you say a small, they'll go, oh, do you mean a such? So I want to know the words so there's no chance for them to kind of patronise me and for me to be annoyed. But the lassie's like, hello, Starbucks, can I help you? I'm like, what took that, or whatever it is, and I'm like, there's 2 cappuccinos, and you want chocolate in both of them? No, actually, I don't. Just chocolate in one of them, because for all I love to stuff my face and I love a lot of sweet stuff, I don't actually like, I think it's too much, having the chocolate on top of the cappuccino. So that was great, actually, give me the option. Just one with chocolate, please. Anything else? And I'm like, actually, I need a cake or something like that. I'm absolutely knackered with all that chatting last night. And I'm a fat greedy get, so I'm not, but the boards up, I don't know the kind of cakes they sell in there, and I just saw this thing and it had icing on it. I love icing. I want icing, I want cream, I want proper sweet stuff, and it was a pumpkin marble cake. I sort of, hang on a second, so a slice of pumpkin marble cake, and at one point in the last year, I can hear her, she just goes, it just, like, I've got 2 idiots here who don't know what they're doing. They just don't get this. You need to know what you want and be ready to go. And folk are ordering things on apps and that these days, so it's probably a real pain in the neck. And I'm an old dude, and I'm a dittery old get when it came to that, so I had been hard. We're just laughing. We're just laughing. God, that lassie's pissed off. But she's probably heard this. She's like, she's probably heard this. If you just drive to the window, please. I'm like, oh, God, right. So we drove up to the window. And there's a boy there, I can see the lassie with the headset on, you can see her through the glass, because having to work in the shop as well, serving folk inside the shop. It's a hard shift, she's not giving anybody a hard time. But I've got a thing where I don't say hate's too strong a word. It's an uptightness, it's a neurosis, if you like, on my part. It's around male baristas in chains. I don't mean they're wearing chains, but spiritually they are, actually. They just don't realise it. It's what is it? Starbucks. What's the other one? Starbucks is it's massive. The Starbucks and Pret's the next one kind of down. It's good. But anyway, and the Costa, that's it. And they do that thing where they psych them up. They train them in a kind of cultish way. There's been like scientific studies or business studies, but I've actually listened to folk discussing this on Radio 4, I think. But I mean straight on to Clyde after that, George Bowie and what have you. But I listened to folk talking about this, and they build up a kind of cultish thing, but the staff end up getting in on their day off to see how the team's getting on. Are we hitting those goals, guys? And I find that really dodgy. You're being exploited by massive corporations, but at the same time, so sometimes it's kids that are working part-time, they try and go and get themselves, they're trying to better themselves in life, not get themselves a degree or whatever like that. And this is, if they're actually enjoying it, that's maybe fine, but I go into these places sometimes when you're kind of go, West End, locally sourced baristas, and you go into these places and it's a kind of aggressive, you've got to perform for them, and it's when it's blokes, young blokes, and they've usually got the beards, and they've usually got the braces, and they've usually got the, hi sir, how are you today? I find me, really? How's that? And you're like, no mate. And a couple of times it's really embarrassing. My wife, she's like, for Christ's sake, just say to the guy, really what we do is I just go and pick a seat and she goes and orders if we're inside a place, because I can't handle it. I just can't. It's like, no mate, I'm paying over the price, over the odds as it is for my coffees and a bit of cake or whatever. I don't have to be performing for you. You know what I mean? I don't to come up to your standards so that you can say that everybody's buying into the vibe. It's bullying basically, and it's only her that's allowed to bully me. So I don't like it. So I'm a bit uptight with it. And there was a boy that was actually serving, and he didn't have the earpiece in. I could see the last of the earpiece, so I'm thinking, but he starts being really nice. Hi sir, how are you today? And it's just right in the cusp, and I'm like, the guy's been friendly, Alec. It's just a boy giving you your coffee. That's your pumpkin marble cake slice thing. I felt a bit embarrassed. I'm like, thanks very much, thank you. And in between is like that's your cappuccino without the chocolate, and that's the one. Oh, thanks. Oh, that's brilliant for that. And are you having a lovely day? I'm like, I am, mate. Yeah, it's and yourself. How's that? Not too bad, not too bad. And it was just that. I thought the boy's just be nice. Maybe that's just the way he's coming across, you know. No, they has to come to your standards, Alex. He doesn't have to perform for you. He's being nice, ostensibly. This is fantastic service. And I was saying, is there a bit you can tip? We don't have any cash on us, right? Sometimes my phone will make me want to. It'll bring up a review thing. I can give them 5 stars, whatever. But there's a bit something under my, just something bothering me. I thought, oh, you're too uptight with this kind of thing. Just a young guy working a really shit uptight job, and you're in there giving him a hard time. I wasn't there. I just said thanks very much, and we drove along. We parked. It was a fiver for over an hour. I didn't know how long it's going to take us to park in this car park, which is basically just gravel, you know, down at the transport museum. And I'm just something to say. I was like, I'm going to have my cake in here in the car. I was like, all right. I thought it was going to go and we're going to walk. It was starting to rain a wee bit. You know, and I'm like, no, I want to kind of hit that. I'll just have the cake first. I'm having a few sips of the cappuccino as well. But my missus was quite keen. We just went out and walked about, you know, and just had the cappuccinos on the move. And I'm not into that kind of moving how I consume stuff. But anyway, I like to concentrate on the consumption. But she let me have the cake, and the slice of cake, thank them up. And I opened up the pan, and it was the icing. He put it in upside down, so the icing's all at the bottom, and it's stuck to the bottom of the bag. So I pulled it out and the icing's all landed in the bottom. For me, that's a disaster. That is a disaster because it's no cheap, this stuff. And I'm left with a baldy cake, basically a slice of cake. And that's fine, no, because I would have had that. And I ate that and I'm scraping the icing off the bottom. I'm going, he's put it up. She's basically laughing at me. But I'm like, I think that's what it was. I think that's what he sounded like. He was actually just kind of giving me a dish best served cold or best served upside down. In this case, it was like, you've been cheeky to my work, mate. You know, you laughed at her. We heard you laughing at her, and we're tight because we're part of this team, this winning team at Starbucks, and this is how we'll shaft you because you look like a guy that appreciates his cake. All the icing is stuck to one pat, and Mike's like, I don't think he's thought it through that much. I don't think anybody else really worries about how the icing is put on them. I don't know about that. So we go for a walk, and. Drink the Starbucks, and I'm like, I think I want to part these before we cross it. And it's like it's a few yards. It's all the Clyde, you know what I mean? But you want to get rid of the cups before. I'm a super intermezzo, you know, Maria Callas Grande, you know, cappuccino. I don't feel right just walking out like that. The idea that I'm mincing from the north side over to the south side, you know, into Govan with it just doesn't feel right. And we go over there. So I checked back and I did finished off a cappuccino on the museum side, put it in the bins, put the paper cups in the bins and all that. And as soon as I stepped on that bridge, there's a boy, full Celtic, no lie, just no saying this for Celtic, the guy's wearing Celtic gear, he's a Celtic fan, that's it. Maybe kind of mid-30s with his girlfriend, and she's going, what the you're walking against the tide is coming from the north to the south, the tide is coming from this side of the river into over towards Govan. And the boy goes, why not? Oh, with any and want to walk you on this fucking bridge, you know. And that's a terrible impersonation of the accent, what have you, you know. But you can hear my accent; it's not that far off it. I'm really glad that we parked the cappuccinos. I'm glad that we get rid of the paperwork, the evidence there, and because I'm a fat, spotty, baldy guy, I fit in. Nobody's going to think I'm a snob or whatever. And we walk over there, and I'm explaining this to my wife, and she's like, "Yeah, I think you're getting a bit oversensitive about this kind of stuff," you know. And we get over the bit, but she's obviously not. She doesn't want to look like that. She's, you know, also sensitive to these things, but she thought I was overdoing it. We get over the bridge, we get over to Govan, and first, like, left-hand side, it's almost like something Scandi noir. It's like it's a Scandi city in early April. These balconies, new build, brick build, beautiful stuff, looking at over this natural square, and there's a like minimalist, fully glazed, inserted in a beautifully refurbished old building, bistro, wine bar type scenario. It was absolutely mobbed, kind of Mediterranean looking inside. It's all, you know, cool colours and what have you, and wood. They're called rhubarb and honey. I'm like, I'm worried about looking. I'm rhubarb and honey. Are you kidding me on? So we go to the church. We see the stones. You know, everybody's going to see Oasis. I want to see the stones, and they're really old. in the church, and everything's dated or signed as 1888. You know, the statues, and everybody was died in 1888, was born in 1888, was built in 1888, and the only on all the info factoid type boards and that was just it's Govan photographs of it from the air. And it's all grey except this bit of greenery around about the church, and it was like the green heart of Govan. That's just not what I was. I was here, no, but it's this the honey and rhubarb and honey. And I'm like, where's the boys? Where's the razor gangs? You know, where's the kind of heavy industry, heavy smoking, heavy drinking, music hall and murder type guys got to square go me, pouring out the boozers and what have you. It's like rhubarb and honey. And there's that the street. Was it St Anthony's, the church St Anthony's? No, that must be where St Anthony's got their name. No, it's the Ants that played McKenna Park, used to be right behind Ibrox. Remember, it's now that call centre. But you can still see the traces of the terrace, and as it goes down for the pavement towards the call centre. And they're new in Cardonald, obviously, but it used to be the St Anthony's, and their full Celtic kits and what have you. They used to be the closest other club to Rangers. Now it's Benburn, but they're St Anthony's Church. It is outside that. There's signs on the lamppost saying there'll be a location shoot here, no parking here on I think it's Tuesday, 17th of September to the 21st of September or something like that for like filming. This is worse than the West End. And then there's outside St Anthony's, there's a guy in a white van listening to, white van driver, fantastic. No, he's got his head on the wheel and he's playing Leonard Cohen, Suzanne, full blast in the motor. No, ironically, no drunk or anything like that. This is just a guy, obviously something to do with the filming, he's casing out location or something. I mean, this is absolutely brutal. Luckily, there was a Greg's. I'm like, thank God for that, because by the time we've been to church and had a wee walk around and what have you, there's a whole bit, it's like Regeneration, really redolent Regeneration. It's obviously had a bit of investment, and it's a whole row of shops, and you've got your old pet shop and all that, like you used to get in Ardrossan. But they've all got brand new signage. They've all obviously done by the same sign people, but they're all retro style, and it's like, that's insulting to the. I don't know. But like, by the time we've done this, we're starving. It's like, why go? There's a Greg's there, no, in the kind of shopping centre, but. Let's go in there again. I mean, it's absolutely cracking, Govan. I always knew it was. You don't have to go to Ibrox. You don't have to go into the town. You don't have to go into the borough. You don't have to go into the legend that is Govan to get to Ibrox. For anywhere other than Govan, But inevitably over the years I've been in there before. I know it's brilliant. I know it's wonderful. I know there's really interesting stuff to it, bad bits to it as well. There is with everybody else in Scotland, and so. Got a bit of an appetite on me after a good 5 minutes of walking around. I was like, you want a Greg's? There's that Greg's over there. Let's nip in there, just get ourselves a sausage roll. And I was like, hi, okay. So any Greg's, total, chewing the fat, the banter. She wants a sausage roll, I want a steak bake. And then she says, you're going to get a cake, which means that she wants a cake. I've just had one, because she's mentioned a cake, I'm going to have another one. And I'm not going to knock back the opportunity of a cake. So sausage roll, steak bake, fresh, warm, individually wrapped. What else you having? I'm going to have a Bavarian slice and apple Danish as well. Guy presents them. He's got them in a box, a cardboard box, side by side. You know how much cream and icing is contained in a Bavarian slice, which should be called a vanilla slice. And is this? When I was about his vanilla slice, is this us kind of making it back up to the Germans because we changed the German biscuit to an empire biscuit because of the First World War? I don't know, but no, it's a Bavarian slice. There's so much cream and so much icing, I can't resist them. They can go so wrong. The packaging there is absolutely. I couldn't imagine how he's going to get them in a paper bag and no make an arse it for the second time in my cakes that day. But he's got them in a box side by side and they're absolutely perfect. And I suddenly realised when I opened them up, and I went, that's the way, that's proper. You should come to Govan and get it done. I'm like, I've done it. I'm West End Wank. West End adjacent wank. I have totally patronised this guy. The guy was of Asian descent, total Glasgow, obviously, but I think probably kind of Hindu background anyway. But he's just like, next please, rattling through it. None of this, have a nice day, blah, blah. Thanks, please, and thanks, but just more sincere. And I thought, oh no, I'm now saying this is more real. This is what it's supposed to be like. I get Greg's everywhere. All the time. It's maybe like 5 days since I last had a Greg's for a different part of Glasgow somewhere. So I just ended up trying to avoid that, but become the same thing. And the whole thing is John Bennett comes across as posh. John Bennett will be posh. Certainly got enough money to be posh. We Paree, it's money, it's employment, it's somewhere to go and eat and drink. Folk have a nice time. John Bennett has put his money into Rangers. He's invested in Rangers. He's a Rangers supporter. custody work. What's you supposed to do? You know what I mean? If you've got the awareness, if you've got the intelligence, if you've got the opportunity, go for it. Do it. Drag us all forward. Push us all forward. This result today, Rangers beating Dundee United, our first away win of the season, our first away win since the 28th of April. And this pod, whatever that's worth, and it's worth a hell of a lot less than the 3 points we won at Tannadice today, are as dedicated to John Bennett and his family, the speediest possible recovery and the fullest possible recovery to him, our outgoing chairman, and one of the men who I always instinctively trusted, as much as I instinctively distrusted, because money people, where I come from, you don't trust money folk. You don't trust businessmen, you don't trust people who are posh and what have you, and yet at the same time, without them, we don't. What are you supposed to do? Come back, put all your own personal money into Rangers? I don't think there's any better. And he's the TSB thing. He's not putting his money into a bank. He'll have money in the bank, But he's opted for far less stable, not quite as unstable as Quinn Casino, everything on black, please, but a bit, certainly much more unstable than just putting your money into TSB. He's went for Rangers. He's wanted his money back. But without his money there in the first place, we wouldn't be where we are just now, which is aiming for second place minimum. And when I was growing up, when it was Dundee United were winning the league and aiming to win the league in the early 80s, they won it in 1983, Aberdeen won it in 1980, they won it in 1984, 1985. And that, I think, at the time, that's more embarrassing for Rangers. We were finishing fourth, sometimes fifth in the top flight in the days. We were, getting kind of crowds under 10,000 at Ibrox quite frequently. And that should be much more embarrassing when it's like Dundee United and Aberdeen with their limited resources that are winning league titles, that are taking our league title. We couldn't win at Pittodrie. We won once at Pittodrie in like 12 years. Dundee United, we always got on well against Dundee United. Always enjoyed Tannadice. Rangers always enjoyed Tannadice. It was Celtic that Dundee United gave a really hard time to. But they, just now, because it's Celtic, because it's consistently us finishing second to Celtic, and it's only Celtic we can't get past, and Celtic always beat us. This run we're on just now, despite the fact that there's 40,000, even when we go to Hampden, we can't get into Ibrox. It's more febrile. I think the reaction to it is more vicious, because when we don't win, it means Celtic do, and only Celtic. No, St Johnstone won they had their lovely League Cup and Scottish Cup season, but nobody else is winning anything if it's no us. It's only Celtic that are winning. I think it's a really strange situation where when Celtic have such a massive support comparable to ours in its size, and the infrastructure they've got, what have you, it's no disgrace to be losing it, but because of the history of Rangers and Celtic, it makes it more upsetting. And I think when Rangers first come back into top flight, this is the danger just now. We failed in our first test of our first objective in any season, which is finish above Celtic and then we'll win the league. Well, we failed miserably in the first test of that in our last outing when we lost 3-0 at Parkhead. The next thing is to make sure that nobody will finish above us in second place. Celtic have taken care of it from the top end, trying to make sure we're going to finish second. We have to make sure we take care of it from the bottom end, that we definitely do. If we're not going to win the league, we at least finish second. And Dundee United were ahead of us in the league yesterday. They were unbeaten for 8 games or something like that. They're not playing anything like the standard of opponent that we've played generally, but that's still a danger sign there for us today, and we've gone to their place. We've beaten them, we've overleaped them in the league, so we are now third. We've got an Aberdeen team who haven't dropped a point yet in the league. They're 5 points ahead of us. They're coming at the end of October, that we go to Pittodrie, so that'll be the next test. But this is to make sure that we do actually, because this is a rebuild season. I'm on board with that. I'm pretty much expecting us not to win the league. The manager is at pains to point that out. Even if he wasn't, you couldn't help but noticing the amount of change at the club. But James Tavernier is getting all the blame because he's the only guy that's still there. And suddenly, it's when Ryan has always been his fault, apparently. But he's the only guy that's still there, really, over the last 2-3 seasons. From the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's been there for 9 seasons, which emphasises the point totally unfairly in the minds of people who want to criticise the club. But the last time we decided that we could accept finishing second, or we'd understand finishing second, was in our first season back in the top flight after being in the lower leagues, and we finished third, and then we finished third again the following season. So we've got to be really careful that just accepting that there's going to be a lot of change this season is a tacit way of letting the team off. We know in the league or whatever like that, but we have to make sure because you still get a Champions League, a chance at the Champions League group stages through finishing second in the league this season, albeit there's an extra round involved. But that's the minimum we have to do. It would now be a total disgrace in a way that perhaps wasn't just as bad in the 70s and 80s. Lovely minutes silence, a minute's applause for Ron Yeats today before the game, a guy who was in the Jerry Kerr era at Dundee United, the legacy building that was going on there, and then goes to Liverpool and helps build a legacy there by making them, setting the standard down there with Shankly that then led to Liverpool under Bob Paisley winning European Cups and what have you. And Ron Yeats, born in Aberdeen and making his name at Dundee United, and it was Aberdeen and Dundee United were the team in the early 80s that we couldn't get in front of, as well as Celtic, but somehow that diluted it. We went 9 years without winning the league when I was a kid, but not up from 78 to 87. We won the league at Tannadice so many times. I think we won the league at Tannadice and Easter Road more times in the last 50 years than we've actually sealed it at Ibrox. 9 in a row was one there. We won it, was it 90? We won it there. 70s, I think twice in the 70s, and we won it under Walter's second coming in 2009. We won 3-0 there. It's just a place we always went. Easter Road as well. But Ibrox, we never seem to actually clinch the league 2 or 3 times in my life that we've done it there. But there was so much going on today, and I think hearing yesterday when I come back from being at the bridge that John Bennett was having to step down for illness. I hope it's nothing too serious. It was really concerning, but most of all your concern goes to him, and that's why you can't get ripped into folk. You can't be scapegoating people, when I think the best thing we could hope for was to have Rangers people at the helm at the club who have Rangers at their heart, and he definitely does. And all the very best to him. I hope he gets better. And that was a big concern. We don't have maybe this is why we don't have a CEO, a sporting director. Now we don't have John Gilligan's coming in as acting chairman, but there's a lot of flux going on. But the main thing is, we're getting back to Ibrox. Last time Rangers played at Ibrox, we beat Dundee 5-2, and next Saturday we go there and we play Dundee. And I remember there was flags and banners in the Rangers end today at Tannadice, in the shed end, which used to be the Dundee United home end. And I'd never got a chance to see what they were saying, really. There was one about keep the flags flying. It was really nice colour going on in there today. But that's the home end, the old home end for Dundee United. And then, it reminded me of us a big banner going up in the Broomlin, which had the Union Bears were in there for years, but it was our first season after being demoted, and we were going to Tannadice the following Saturday in the Cup. It was a Scottish Cup, playing Dundee United, and we weren't going to ever support there because we were boycotting it. And I didn't really agree with that, but there you go, couldn't break the boycott. And there's this big banner wishing the team luck, and then today it's Ibroxonia is getting belted out at the end. We're winning 1-0. We're trying to see the game out, and it's getting quite emotional because you know that we're going to be back there, and we're not boycotting the top of the Copeland, but a bit of the ground. What is the home end at Ibrox won't be open. It's Dundee, that we're playing in a cup, in the League Cup, and it's going to be so good to get back there. And I'm just unhappy that John Bennett doesn't at least get to see the completion of. Hopefully he'll be there on that. But he's no still chairman when we see the newly refurbished Copeland Road. We were wheelchair fans in there. It was a nice day today. Sorry folks, I don't do match reports, or it's a post-match reaction, and my reaction can go a bit OTT, but it's going to be very personal. It's just a diary entry, really. I'm not trying to make money out of this, obviously. Why would you when you're doing post-match reaction pods this long without Tommy the Fit? But this is your Fat Egg. Rangers have won their first away game in 7. Post-match reaction pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Please watch Jersnet. After you've watched this, go and watch Jersnet if you haven't watched it already. The Sunday night flagship show, I think it's Rob that's hosting, and Alan and Granty are going to be on that. So that'll be good. They'll be reviewing this game in a lot more appropriate way. I'm talking mostly about the actual football itself, the crazy guys that they are. I'll never understand that attitude. So that's at 9:30 live on YouTube Sunday night, but it'll be, you can just go on to YouTube just now and watch it if you didn't watch it live. So I'm sponsored by Jersnet and also by Play-Doh. Play-Doh bought in the bargain, is it Home Bargains it's called, in the West End Retail Park down there a few weeks ago, and it was a Sunday, and my wife, she works with kids, really young kids, so she was to get, it wasn't for me, but it ended up being for me. She's like, right, we're going to this place and we'll get some, I've got to get a few items, and then one of the things she was getting was the Play-Doh, because it's all nice and cheap stuff in there, and the Play-Doh was all, the wee cups of Play-Doh, they're all putting together, they're all on top of each other, and they put them in a big long tube, but it's like a box shape, square shape, and it was just reminding me straight away, I'm like, that's like at the beginning of Heat, where Val Kilmer, the guy, he goes to get the shape charges, and it's in a big long kind of wooden box type thing, like a square wooden box like that, and the guy at the building site, he's the building supplies, he's got the thing over his shoulder, and they carry it back to the office, and he puts it down. Is it 788.30? 788.30. Check, charge, or cash, and make it payable. Make it out to Tax Demolition Tucson. He has to show him a forged kind of license that he's an actual a building contractor who's licensed to use explosives, and he takes it away up on his shoulder. So my wife's like, why are you carrying that Play-Doh down to the checkout on your shoulder? So the guy should actually be coming to get it and charging us $788.30. I don't know how much it was, but wasn't it that anyway? But I took it into the motor and all that as well. I'm standing there. Now, the shape charges that they put on the back of the security car truck when they raid that, and it's the shape charge when Al Pacino gets there and Vincent Hanna, after they've robbed the security truck, and they put it on, they blow the doors open, because the guy's only going to open the doors. The guys in the security guy's only going to open the door, so they blow the door open, but it also blows out their eardrums, so they're kind of incapacitated while Thingy's crew gets in, Robert De Niro's crew, Neil McCauley's crew gets in there, just pull the guys, they're totally dazed and all that. They get the bearer bonds, they leave the loose change, and then when the robbery homicide team get there, and Al Pacino's giving it, right, what's happening here, and like that. The shape charge, the shape charge indicates that they are technically proficient. So let's start looking into some recent highline burglaries that have mystified us. And also the Play-Doh indicates that he is mentally deficient. So let's start looking into some recent rambling verbose pods that have totally bored the arse off us. You're in one just now, folks. The game itself, fine, we won. The team starting lineup, Czerny was ill. He was sick, so we didn't have Czerny playing wide on the right-hand side. He was replaced by Kieran Dowell, not Ross McCausland, as most of us would expect, but Kieran Dowell was played out wide on the right. It was Jack Butland in goals. Tav, the captain was starting. The captain played at right back. Still a bit of a call, given all the hue and cry over the last couple of weeks. We had Hefty still in at left back in Yilmaz's absence. He's doing quite well there now. Robin Proper, who looks like Dylan. Dylan that goes out with Haley in Modern Family. It really looks like Dylan. He went in at centre half. I thought we might have Balogun in the other day, but didn't play too well at Parkhead, I thought, but who did? Robin Proper, another 2 weeks learning about Rangers and learning his craft under Philip Clement, so he's in there at centre half alongside John Suter. We have, I think it's a 4-2-3-1. I've seen some places reporting it's a 4-3-3, quite fluid in the middle, but it was Barron and Diamandi. It was a kind of more sitting of the sitting two, if you like. There wasn't a lot very sitting about, they're very, very mobile. The 10 was Tom Lawrence, so Basrami was on the bench, the new arrival from Albania via Italy, via Switzerland. He's on the bench to start with. They are sitting with, Willie Waddle used to give out pen picks to the players when they're playing somebody in Europe. That's what that guy looks like. I think Clement's done the same thing, Bajrami, and with their names written underneath them, because that's what he was saying at the press conference on Friday. Bajrami still has to learn the names of his teammates, so he's sitting there through the first half learning all their names so he could come on at half time. But it was Tom Lawrence starting in the 10. Kieran Dowell on the right was kind of puzzling a bit, and Cortez is back. Oscar Cortez back on the left hand side, and Dessers, as expected, up front on his own, so to speak. And we absolutely destroyed them for the first 24 minutes. Scintillating football from Rangers. All that was missing was a bit more finishing, a bit more of a kind of the final product. But 7 minutes in, 6 minutes 30 seconds, United launch a long throw. It gets to John Suter. He turns and hooks it up the park with somebody bearing down on top of him. Around about the halfway line, Diamandi gets in there and he wins the header. It knocks it to Oscar Cortez, who's kind of inside the centre circle kind of area. He nicks a very, very slow ball, but he plays it through very deliberately to Dessers, who's come back, back to goal, and he swings and he judges the run of Tom Lawrence, who's overshooting, overlapping him very much on purpose, and Dessers plays Tom Lawrence through. He takes a touch, Tom Lawrence, United defence kind of exposed, they've let themselves down a wee bit there, but Rangers just ripping right through them, basically kind of disorienting them the way we started this game. Tav putting lots of lovely balls in from the right hand side, but being ropey in his defending, it has to be said. But it was all about attack at this point in the game, and Tom Lawrence, he takes a lovely first touch and a kind of heavy set. He takes it past somebody, just takes it to the side of him so he can run through on goal towards kind of near post area, and he goes past somebody else and it takes a wee kind of nick that just puts enough pace on it that I think actually makes it easier for Lawrence then to go in, and he dinks it beautifully out the outgoing goalkeeper. It's one of those ones, maybe with a bit more time to think about it, the keeper could have placed himself better. It made everybody make their minds up, and Tom Lawrence, sharp as a tack. He's very thin, very raky, isn't he, Tom Lawrence? That's why we get worried about him, I think, in terms of long term, how's he going to handle. He's been injured so long as well. And he's maybe didn't show up against Celtic at Parkhead when he started against them last season. But listen, he's a technician, and he went through there, and I'm really annoyed. I can't make. I watched the replay a couple of times. I can't make out his boots. I think they might be Nike. I think they'd be a bit like Adidas or Diadora. It was kind of dexterous, deft, dancing Diadora feet or whatever. Anyway, he gets through and he dinks it over the keeper, and it's absolutely beautiful into the bottom corner. Runs away. It's a kind of a beautiful sunny day. Rangers wearing the white t-shirts, and it's that thing where the shade of the stand comes in and kind of clashes with the bits of the pitch in the sunshine, so you're kind of having to adjust your eyes all the time, and he just goes into the shade, and suddenly it's so very, is that actually going in? And it's quite kind of dank on that little corner of the Jerry Kerr stand, that L-shaped stand really, but it curves round, and he sticks the ball in the bottom corner, then runs out to that wee corner of the Jerry Kerr stand. The Bears are going mental, great celebrations, but we didn't get a second, and we blasted away at United. Said Tav was absolutely fantastic. On the right hand side, Cortez doing well on the left-hand side, tucking in a lot, but Hefty overlapping, doing really well down the left-hand side as well, getting lots of balls in their box, and it was just, Dessers wasn't sharp enough or whatever like that. There's a block going on at one point. I think Dessers blocks another shot by Tom Lawrence. We're kind of getting in each other's way at times. It just couldn't get the finish. And then United, maybe about half an hour in, 34 minutes to take off. Is it Kevin Holt, who apparently is quite good at set pieces? They were telling us on the telly. He's quite dangerous from set pieces, and I think it was almost like a kind of United's version of the Chris Boyd conundrum of Rangers in Europe, where they made a change. They took him off and made a tactical change as well, because we were totally overrunning them in midfield, and it slowed us down. United didn't start piling pressure on it. They had a couple of free kicks into our box, but they've then withdrawn one of their main dangers from your kick. Like when Rangers under Chris Boyd, it's like you get lots of pressure if you don't have Chris Boyd there, but you maybe don't have a finisher in the middle to take advantage of the pressure that we're managing to create because we don't have Chris Boyd in the park. It was that a kind of version of that for United. So they were kind of making sure we weren't going to keep overrunning them in terms of possession. I don't think there's a single shot on target with the whole game though. United did one that kind of dinked past the post in the second half. It was a deflection off Connor Barron's backside, I think, and everything would deflect off Connor Barron's backside because he was bloody everywhere the day we man. He was running about everywhere. He was fantastic. But in the second half, there was more pressure. We made a substitution half. Cortez went off, obviously no fit to complete a full game yet or do much more than a half. And on came Bajrami. And also, that's the Muslim invasion. Folk were telling me, Alec, you can't deny the Muslims are definitely. I'm not having a go at him that watches my podcast, and I'm just trying to say these things. I'm telling folk, don't fucking listen to Tommy Robinson and what have you. And it's like, you can't deny Islam's a danger. It's fundamentalism, and that's why I'm saying don't, because Tommy Robinson is fundamentalism, folk. And that's us, though. We've got, I'm assuming Bajrami's Muslim, no, Albanian, Kosovan, whatever descent. He's certainly, his mum and dad will be anyway. But he comes on, our new number 10. I mean, you knew he was going to have to. You saw it the minute we knew he was a target for Rangers. You see, he plays on the left sometimes, but just like us to get him and play him on the left when we need a 10, won't it? But Tom Lawrence was playing so well that he comes on. We're in the Cruyff 14. He goes in and he plays on the left hand side instead of Cortez in the second half. A few good touches. Didn't get a chance to get into the game properly by Bajrami, but he was doing enough to show that he's not a complete dud in the short time that he had. But United were more into it this time. It's that thing we couldn't get the second goal. Tom Lawrence goes through, curls one away over the far side of the crossbar, and then Igamani, another Muslim. I'm talking about Muslim invasion. We've got 3 Muslims in the team, and that's what I'm talking about. You can't be. Anyway, it's just confirmation bias. Every community's got folk doing bad stuff. Oh, the white Christians. What do you think the Muslim folk think about the IRA and fucking UDA and all that? What do you think? They think when we're rioting on, after winning 55, when we're in the town centre and there's folk peeing and shitting up street sides and that. I mean, we think, we know it doesn't mean anything, but other folk, if you want to judge, you can just, it's confirmation bias, just picking out something that one community does wrong. You're going to, anyway. So, and the way to deal with folk is get to know them. If there is actual problems, you get to know, you build up a relationship now. You fund the police, fund the social services, and, build up stuff. So, like, the parade in the streets going, get them out of our country. Nobody changes their mind about their religion. Everybody doubles down and gets radicalised if you start having a go. You get folk on board. And that's always meaning, anyway. And this is what happens. You tell me not to do political stuff. I'm going to do it. It's no political. I don't even think it's politics. I think it's just common sense. So, Rangers won. They won 1-0. But Dundee United were starting to pile forward. And every time they get a corner, every time they get long throws and what have you, there's a lot of big guys in the team. I didn't actually count up how many big guys they've got in their team. But Tom Lawrence was marking that Declan Gallagher. And it's a total mismatch at the corners. And you're thinking, this is bad. It just takes one. They did have one flick on that just went past the post or what have you. But by the end of the game, we hadn't really been troubled. I don't think. He did have a couple of saves to make and did quite well. He was very, very solid today, Jack Butland, but there was nothing spectacular. There was no real siege at all, but we couldn't get a second goal. But Iggerman come on and he played Tom Lawrence through. Again, lovely touches, Iggerman. There's a player there. And we saw him for 10 minutes at Parkhead. We've seen him for, I think, 65th minute to come on today. But it was getting quite. He takes the ball, turns, plays Lawrence through a beautifully judged ball, but Lawrence again doesn't do too well with shot. He did say that after the game that he should have won the game. So he should have confirmed it in the second half. But we couldn't get that second goal. But this is the first goal. That's the first goal we've scored away from home domestically this season. It's the second clean sheet we've kept away from home. The clean sheet at Tynecastle, but it's the first away win we've had since the 28th of April. We beat St Mirren 2-1. If you include the Scottish Cup final, I think that makes it 7 games, our first away win in 7 games. Even the pre-season friendlies, you can include them as well, and it was 5 of them away from home. We did actually play one at Auchenhowie, so it's technically we did have a home friendly. We beat Hamilton 5-2 or something like that, but it's a lot of games since we've won away from home. So there was that, and the fact that we've kind of made a wee bit of a mark. We've stopped the rot after the game at Parkhead. We've just left it with the game at Parkhead, and we can concentrate and get ourselves back. And I just set to make sure at least we're sitting, being the team that's ready to pounce on Celtic if Celtic start slipping up, which doesn't look likely. I think it might end up being we want to be the first team to score against Celtic this season domestically. That could be their main ambition. They haven't conceded a goal yet. I think they're off-ski this season, but the main thing for Rangers is to get themselves just, if we're going to have a season of improvement, a season of development. The manager said we weren't going to be fully functioning into October, November time, and you could see it today. I was talking about it on Friday night. We had 10 minutes at Parkhead, 10 good minutes, very good minutes at Parkhead, 11 minutes, whatever. And then we've had like 24 minutes of being completely overwhelming the opposition, but only getting the one goal. We was getting no goals at Parkhead. 24 minutes, got one goal. We're going to be getting to the stage, hopefully. All these new players, guys, this is their first. There were 6 guys. I think we ended up with 5 guys in the park today who have never played at Ibrox before. Still never played at Ibrox, and if you include Cherny, who was ill, that's 6 kind of first team players who've not actually played at Ibrox yet. So that kind of stuff's still to be taken on board. That's got to be factored in when we're judging how the team is going just now. But that's it. We've got the win under our belt, and it's a process that we're going to have to go through. It's hard, it's painful, but it's been. We've got our first win there on the road. We're still got a way to go to even get ourselves into second place because of Aberdeen, but I think we've got a wee run now getting back to Ibrox, playing Dundee. It's going to be emotional next week. We better watch ourselves. We better watch ourselves not get carried away with the emotion of the occasion, but it does mean a lot, and the manager has been really nice about the supporters today. It was a great atmosphere. You could feel it coming across the telly like I used to in the old days. Watching games at Tannadice. I've not been to Tannadice. All my memories of football starting in the late 70s, they all ended in terms of travelling away games. In 2008, I think I went to Manchester. That was the last time I went to that season. The last time I went to Tannadice as well. A 3-8 draw there, which ultimately did cost us the title, even though it felt like a point gain because Celtic had lost at home to Motherwell the previous day under Gordon Strachan. But we had a European trophy to contend for. So aye, is that it? I've said more than enough. I'll probably get rid of most of you in the first 20 minutes when you thought I wasn't talking about the football, but hopefully you realise now that I was. The wee Paree is a business, it provides money, provides employment, provides joy. It's kind of posh exploiters of people, versus the business opportunists, versus acumen, initiative, investment, and help. And that's definitely the latter, the acumen, the investment, the initiative, and the help. I think it's what John Bennett has provided for this club, and I say I wish him all the best. That was the kind of real bad news over the weekend. We've got a lot of areas of this team, of this club, that needs sorting out, but knowing that it's been in the hands of Rangers supporters, and we all make mistakes as Rangers supporters, is the most important thing, because there's plenty of people out there that would quite happily take over our club, promise us the world, and deliver us into, well, the liquidation of the holding company, quite frankly. So we'll have people that are out there and they're saying, we're going to do our best, and that's all I'm going to promise you. And I think John Bennett has certainly done that, and aye, big thanks to him, and I wish him all the very best. And that's us, folks. We'll get 3 points in the bag. We can stop the man. Oh, what am I talking about? I forgot the man himself. What was the manager doing with James Tavernier? What was that all about? Humiliating him, publicly humiliating and castigating the captain by maybe, perhaps, thinking about possibly substituting him in the 90th minute. He was going to bring on Neraisho Casanwirjo. He was going to bring on Neraisho Casanwirjo. He had him stripped, the young Dutch fella that we've signed on loan from Feyenoord. He can play right back, and the word was, according to Crocker on commentary for Sky, that he was coming on and Tav was going off. So what does that mean? What does that mean? I suspect that at that point in the game, the manager was trying to get Tav a standing ovation. I think that's what it was. But Tav, it was definitely, it's, folk will call him a donkey, but the donkey here, the people who, I love Tav, as you know, and I think the treatment he's getting is absolutely terrible, and his contribution is just totally misunderstood. People don't see what he's providing. You couldn't see it today in that first half. The balls he was playing into Dessers and what have you. Any other striker in the world would probably have a hat trick on that today, but certain strikers. Sorry, it's been harsh on Dessers, but at the same time, when we were going back the way he wasn't, he definitely wasn't at it. I can't argue that. He was playing balls short. He was heading balls short out of defence. But second half, he has a corner, probably one of our best chances, on the Igaman's head, a flashing kind of header at the near post. It just gets past the near post, but he's definitely got that. He's providing a major attacking threat. But there definitely was moments today where he wasn't doing well. And it's I don't know if you know the concept of Buridan's ass. One of the things I learnt when I was pretending to be posh at university. It's an ass, a donkey. And it's a Jean Buridan, I think, a philosopher or whatever. I need to look this up. Again, it'll be on Wikipedia. He gets 2 bales of hay and he puts them under his donkey's snout, basically, equidistant from each other. And like those two whitewashed walls with TSB signs on them, they're equidistant from and the idea is that the donkey loves hay and it's going to eat whatever, but it doesn't know what one to go for first, because the two of them are equidistant, and it ends up that, and I think that's what's happening. No, we don't know, do we love Tav because he's great going forward? Do we hate him because he's crap defending? We get behind the captain. Don't kill ourselves failing to make up the mind. 7 different managers have thought he was good enough to be a first team player. 4 of them have thought he's good enough to be captain. The idea that we just don't get rid of him because we can't find anybody to replace him. If he's as bad as people are making out, you'd be getting rid of him straight away. There's a reason he's the one that's still left there. The idea that he's got, photographs or something, compromising positions of every single manager we've had in his time at the club doesn't really add up. But I think the idea today was that he was bringing Tav off to get a standing ovation because he was talking up the manager. The manager was talking up Tav or defending him during the week, and that's why I'm going about the Tommy Robinson stuff and that, because the manager mentioned it in his podcast. It is all Rangers stuff I do here. He was talking about how it's a societal thing. Everything's got to be binary. Everything's got to be extreme reactions. We are not perfect. Same with John Bennett. It's not perfect. But you need to have the folk who are pointing you in the right direction. And there's a solid explanation that, they definitely have the best intentions and they have the ability to get us there if we just give them, and they're proven that they can get us there in the past. They've done enough for us in the past. And I think James Tavernier is somebody we should be getting behind. And I think the manager was trying to take him off for a standing ovation today, but probably thought to himself, you don't change your defence. A defence that kept a clean sheet with Tav in it. You don't change your defence with 3 minutes to go in a game that you're only winning 1-0. Or maybe it is, for those of you who don't like Tav, maybe this is the start of it. Maybe that's the manager just signalling to the fans, don't worry, I am going to take him out of the team at some point. We're going to start giving him a rest. We're going to start bleeding in new guys at right back. It'll be interesting to see who starts against Dundee. But that's for next week, and that's an hour. That'll do me. I promise you one of these days I will do a half-hour podcast. Thanks very much for your time, folks.